Here's a segment from a recent Gun Talk radio episode. You can listen to all the Gun Talk radio podcasts however you tune in, or check out guntalk.com for more. We're talking with Brian McKenna. He's the author of Cops Under Fire, 12 gripping stories of real-life police shootouts and what to make of them, available in paperback and in Kindle form. You can find it over on Amazon. Brian, one of the things I was mentioned as I read the book is, first of all, a lot of these police officers are absolutely, without a doubt, heroic in their willingness to keep fighting, even to the point of, some of them are shot up, and they're saying, I am just going to keep going. In one case, one officer's down to his last round. He knows it's his last round. He says, if I don't stop this guy, he's going to kill a bunch of people. The stories are gripping, and they're real world. They're right out of the headlines. So kudos to you on writing this so well.
Thank you.
So, I was going to say, one of the things I got out of this is the stories about officers, and I think this is from their training, they're already into a situation where somebody may already have even shot somebody, and they're yelling, drop the weapon, drop the weapon, drop the weapon. And in retrospect, we look at that and think, probably we were well past the time of talking and should have been in the time of shooting at that point. Fair enough?
Yes. Of course, that's not always easy to determine. And that's one of the things I talk about quite a few of the legal issues. I'm not an attorney, but I've studied a lot of these cases. Mm-hmm. And it's often a difficult decision to make, which is, I think, a misconception with a lot of people. They think that we're much better trained at that sort of a thing, but there's a lot of complexity to it, and we need to train up for that more. That's probably the number one thing we need in training, and not only with deadly force, but other uses of force and a lot of other things. We have to become experts on thinking under stress, which is primarily what I focus on in my training.
Well, it's interesting you say that. I've heard it called stress inoculation. If you do force-on-force training, simunitions, that type of thing, at first you have nothing but helmet fire. You have no idea what's going on. And after you've done it a number of times, you actually are able to move through scenarios and problem solve in the midst of chaos.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. There's a lot more to that than we think. It's not just stress inoculation, although that's very important. Mm-hmm. But there's a lot more to it. I think that the most critical mental skill for any police officer or anybody really who's having to deal with anything that's stressful is mental flexibility. It's probably the hardest thing to teach, but it's probably the most important thing to know, is to develop that mental flexibility, because somebody once said the fight you get in is never the one you planned for, or
yeah,
no battle plan survives first contact with the enemy. So you have to be able to adapt. And in the time period that officers often have, they say about the average duration of a police gunfight is about 3 to 3.5 seconds. You've got to do an awful lot of thinking and a lot of adapting within that period of time. And that requires a lot of training. And it's not like we have practice at it. If we got in gunfights every day, we'd be real good at gunfighting. But, most cops never go through their whole career without firing a shot.
There are very few Jim Cirillos out there.
Right. And then you get guys, I heard about a 70-year-old policeman that had been a cop for 50 years that was killed on one of its last days on the job, shot dead during a traffic stop. And you get what that one young woman, I think out west somewhere, she I think it was her first call. It was like 2 hours into the first day on her job, but she was killed. Mm-hmm. So you just never know when it's going to happen. So you got to be prepared all the time.
If you were talking to people who are just citizens like me, not a cop, but I'm willing to go, and I do go to training. A lot of folks don't get training. Of course, if you don't go get your training, you have no idea what you don't know. But if you just had a few tips for the concealed carriers of the world, the people who want to take care of themselves, what would it be based on all this research you've done?
Well, first thing is they could read my book.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with that.
But no, I think there's a lot of things that you can do. One thing, for example, is just learn to be more aware of your surroundings. Because the sooner you see a threat, the more time you have to adjust to it and possibly avoid it.
Mm-hmm.
And the way that I do that, I talk about it in the book. I call it the safety first habit. And that is make a game of everywhere you go, everything you do. Teach it to your kids and your spouse to be thinking in terms of where are my escape routes, where might a threat be coming from, what is there about right now that could be dangerous to me, and what can I do about it? And then you adapt. And usually that's just a mental game. I mean, you don't necessarily, that doesn't mean that if you see somebody that looks suspicious, you run out the back door. I'm just saying that you're looking at him and you're going to watch him a little more carefully.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and you're going to start thinking about what could I do if he does this or does that? Where can I go? Where's the nearest cover? What's the difference between cover and concealment?
Right.
And all those kind of things, and you're constantly playing that mental game. And at first that's hard, but after time you get used to it, and it becomes a habit. And like any other habit, it's something that you do often without even realizing you're doing it. And then it's there if you need it. Now, it's always best to be consciously aware of it, but
sure,
once it becomes a habit, it's something that is available to you at any time.
I want to highly recommend the book, Cops Under Fire. One of the things you talk about in there is something I've tried to pass along to people, is that, look, we have instincts built into us, and civilization kind of knocks them down. And I always tell people, look, you can die from fear of embarrassment. You say, I just don't want to embarrass somebody because I thought he made me feel funny or some kind of deal like that. But you talk about paying attention to the feelings. It may not even be a conscious thought of this looks dangerous. It may just be, I feel anxious. And you say, I don't know why I feel anxious. But you make the point that that's real. Pay attention to that.
Oh, absolutely. I think one of the best books you can read, been around for probably 30 years or more, is The Gift of Fear by a guy named Becker. He explains that real well. Our subconscious mind sees and picks up cues that we're never consciously aware of. And all it has time to do is to say to you something like, hey, I think you're getting in trouble here. Something bad's going to happen. I don't have time to explain it, but get ready. And so you need to listen to it. And there again, that doesn't mean you have to overreact. Usually it's just a matter of maybe looking a little closer at the situation, keeping a closer watch on somebody. Maybe move, slow down, speed up, go somewhere else. Just, it doesn't mean you take your gun out and blast people every time they make you nervous.
No, you just try to figure out what's making me feel this way.
Right, exactly. Well, why is this, and what can I do about it? It's amazing. I mean, and even that, one of the things that does for you is it also builds your confidence in your ability to assess danger. And the more confident you are, the less stress you're under when you have to make a decision. And think about it. If you're in a bad situation and you just in your heart of hearts believe that you can't handle it, that you're a dead person, that causes panic. That causes you to do some really stupid things. Mm-hmm. But if you go, aha, I'm in trouble here, but I know what to do. I'm prepared for this. Then you're going to be under less stress, and stress is the absolute killer of good thinking. So that improves your thinking abilities. And when you think better, you make better decisions.
I mean, there it is. Brian McKenna, I cannot recommend this book any more highly. I really think it's worthwhile for anybody who's serious about this subject. It's available on Amazon. Would that be, that's one of the places you can get it. I know there are other places as well, right?
Oh, yeah. You can get it at bookstores. You can get it on my website. And that's www.authorbrianmckenna.com.
Okay, authorbrianmckenna.com, and also over on Amazon. And the title of the book is Cops Under Fire, 12 Gripping Stories of Real-Life Police Shootouts and What to Make of Them, available in Kindle as well as paperback. And I'm telling you, once you start reading it, you've done a really great job of giving us the information, but making it interesting reading as well. And those are two different things. My congratulations on this. Well done.
Oh, I appreciate it. That's my passion. I've had the ability, for whatever reason, God gave me a real opportunity to learn from these people by writing that column. officers that have been through that, and I think it'd be pretty selfish of me not to keep that, to keep all that I've learned from them to myself. And that's really what this book is about, that and correcting the misconceptions about cops. So many people, you mentioned that earlier, they don't know anything about police work.
Right. They don't. And they don't know, what's involved. And you get a very good sense of that. Again, thank you, sir. I appreciate it. Congratulations on the book. It's very well done. Again, I would encourage, this is one of those you're going, I don't know what I'm going to get out of it. I hate to say it this way, but trust me on this one. You're going to like it. Then you're going to pass it along. Then you're going to hand it to other people and recommend it. It's called Cops Under Fire, 12 Gripping Stories of Real-Life Police Shootouts and What to Make of Them by Brian McKenna.